and let everybody know we're here. If you could check the feed for me real quick, just make sure
Yeah,
everything's
I got it pulled
good.
up. I'm just waiting for it to start streaming.
And I am going to do one of the listener reviews at the end, too. Tyler's. And then next week we can do the one Bethany did, the last
Okay.
one.
Feed sounds good.
Awesome. All right, let me pull up our notes here. All righty. Is everyone good to go?
I
What's
reckon.
happening, Mushmouth? How you doing, sir?
Good
Oh,
old Mushmouth.
yeah. All right. Well, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and we're back for another Halloween-themed episode here on the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So how has your Halloween season been going so far? We weren't here last week, so how was your week off?
Yes, so funny enough, I was actually working at the time we normally do the show. So I got invited to run camera for an indoor concert series called Studio Amped that's filmed over at the local PBS station that we have here in town. It's only like 2 minutes from my house, so it was, we ended late, but it's not like I had to drive an hour home, which was nice. But funny enough, it's the studio that I originally took college classes in.
Oh, cool.
For TV production. So it was nice being back there, and I got to work there on a more full-time basis years ago. Before I really, started full-time with the Blue Wahoos in 2016. So
yeah,
it was good being back there, and it's nice to have a little bit of extra cash and everything. So it was good. But what about you?
I just spent my week, watching horror movies, getting ready for Halloween. I went through a John Carpenter binge last week. I watched Big Trouble in Little China. I watched Escape from New York. I watched Halloween 3, even though he didn't direct it. It was still a John Carpenter movie. Let's see, what else? Well, we watched Beetlejuice over the weekend, so
Nice.
we're getting prepared for the holiday.
I kept thinking Halloween was this week, but it's actually next week.
Yeah.
This month's been going by so fast that I already
know.
thought it was the end of the month.
Yeah, and we got to get our extra episode recorded too sometime over the next week.
Well, yeah, I guess we can go ahead and let everybody know. So you, Wally, and Joey will actually be returning to my show, and we're going to do a nice roundtable discussion on the Scream franchise.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is the episode will drop on Halloween.
Nice.
So what better way to start out your Halloween than listen to us talk about one of the best movie franchises of all time when it comes to horror?
I still have to watch. Wasn't there a sequel to the newest one that just released?
Yes, so there's 7 total.
Okay, because I watched the new Scream that came out a few years ago, but I haven't watched the sequel to it yet.
Yeah, it was all right. We'll I'll get into it, more in detail on the show, but that, especially that original Scream movie is, we mentioned it on the last show. It's my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yeah, and if you want to watch it with us, go be a patron, and you can go back into the archive. We actually have on our Patreon. I didn't tell everybody this, but you can do what do they call those? Let me go on our Patreon real quick. It's where you can kind of put things in a group. I don't know exactly what it's called. Hold on, I'm going to the creator page real quick. So if you go
to like a watch along?
It is under the collections tab on Patreon now. If you go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, and become a patron, there is a tab at the top called collections. And if you go under there, I have all of the pop culture palette rewinds under one collection. I have all the top 5 lists under one collection, and I have all the commentary tracks under one collection. So they're very easily searchable and easy to find if you're looking for anything in particular there on our Patreon.
That's really cool. It's almost like YouTube playlists where
Yeah.
you can, separate like interviews or roundtables like I do on my channel. That's nice that Patreon added something like that.
Yeah, so it makes it very easy for you lovely patrons if you want to go check out the collections. I got everything under one tab on each one of those. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, for sure.
But we got a lot of news to get to this evening. You ready to jump into it?
Sure.
And pretty much all of tonight's stories were sent to us by Armez Jackson and Tyler Watson. And if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. And the very first story from Armez Jackson is from timeextension.com. Nintendo is now going after YouTube accounts which show its games being emulated. And I know this is a couple of weeks old, but we're just now getting to it. Nintendo is famously protective of its intellectual property and has a history of suing content creators who it feels have overstepped that mark. However, the latest move feels particularly heavy-handed as it has issued a copyright strike against a YouTube channel that reviews emulation handhelds. Retro Game Core, in case you didn't know, is an excellent channel with over 500,000 subscribers, which covers many different retro game systems. But its main focus is modern-day portable devices from the likes of the Ioneo, Anbernic, and the Retroid, which are capable of emulating classic games from yesteryear. Let's see. The channel's owner recently had a video taken down at Nintendo's request, which relates directly to emulation of its product. And he says, it does appear that my worst fears are true and that I am being specifically targeted by Nintendo. My Wii U video was taken down and I have received another copyright strike, even though this showcase video was no different than all of the tech demos and reviews I have made on the channel previously. And he's considering filing a counterclaim under fair use, as the video was for educational use, transformative in nature, and had no effect on the market. It was a demonstration of a console no longer for sale. So, what do you think about Nintendo rearing its ugly head?
Fight it, Russ. That's all I gotta say is fight it.
Yeah, fight it, please.
This is so stupid. Like, to my knowledge, he's not making money off of it. If he's using it for educational purposes, like, maybe Nintendo just wants people to forget that the Wii U existed because it was such a failure.
I don't know. I don't know what Nintendo's problem is. It's like they just don't understand internet culture, and they don't understand that all this stuff does is drive more people to your products. It's not taking away from you in the least.
No, and we've said it time and time again. It might be the most repeated thing we've said on this podcast. If Nintendo has such a problem with people emulating their games and getting like ROMs and emulators and all of that, all they got to do is release them for a small fee. Release the games for a small fee.
Yep.
And problem solved. But for some reason, they don't want to do that.
Yeah, and Mushmouth's right in the chat room. He says the counterclaim is a good idea, but Nintendo's lawyers will smack that out of orbit. Yeah, you can't go up against Nintendo with they have way more money than you.
Yeah,
they have more money than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be like a lot of big companies. They'll just, they'll bleed you dry essentially.
But if
because
you think
they have
that,
way more money.
If that news story makes you angry, wait till the next one.
Oh boy! So to follow up on that, this is from PCGamer.com.
And it comes from Tyler Watson, and he says, Nintendo says it's a rule for thee and not for me.
Yeah, that's perfect. The official Nintendo Museum appears to be emulating SNES games on a Windows PC which is slightly embarrassing.
You don't even need to go any further.
No,
like, that
I
just
really
says
don't.
it all.
I
There.
will, but I don't need to. Nintendo has had a difficult relationship with emulation, and that's putting it mildly.
Wow.
The company has often legally pursued emulator developers and ROM websites, and its website makes it clear that it's not okay to copy or download older titles, nor download a ROM for emulation, even if you own the original game, lest you fall foul of various copyright lawsuits. Twitter user at ChrisMac32, however, seems to have made a rather embarrassing discovery. They've posted a video of an SNES controller being disconnected via USB, no less, from a booth at the official Nintendo Museum in Japan, and it turns out it makes a rather familiar noise, the ding-dong-dong of a Windows USB device disconnect. While we only get a brief look at the screen, it appears whatever device the controller was connected to seems to be playing Super Mario World. That's an SNES title, of course, which suggests that it's being emulated on a Windows PC underneath. I'll just say one thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You blew it! You blew it!
Wow.
I would say if you want to look up the word hypocrisy in the Webster's dictionary, you'll find a link to this story.
I mean,
Here, you can't go after people for doing this and then do it yourselves.
it's just what is I'm speechless. Like, I don't even know what to say at this point. It's just like, really? This is really Nintendo? Is this what we're doing now? Like, really? You made yourself look really stupid.
Yeah. Stupid, arrogant, hypocritical, all of it.
So if you got something to say about it, please send us an email and we will read it on the air. Just get it all out. Get all your Nintendo frustrations out. Send us an email, nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. I'm so sick of this shit from Nintendo, and I know I don't curse very much on this show, but we do have a PG-13 rating. I'm sick of this shit from Nintendo. I'm over it.
I mean, even PG-13 movies get an F-bomb.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I what else is there to say? Like, I don't even need to read any more of the article. It's just, it's embarrassing. It makes Nintendo look really bad. And I know we've defended them a lot, but there ain't no defending this. And you go after people that are loyal to you, and then you do something like this. Because how many stories have we talked about over the, several years that we've been doing the show, where they've gone after people for emulating their games?
Mm-hmm.
And they do it in their museum.
Yeah.
in one of their official places of business.
And Mushmouth said in the chat room, if you're for real, I will put an essay in your inbox. Yes, please send us the essay. Yeah. We'll read it.
I'd love to read it.
Nintendo needs to. I will read it on the air, and I will send a direct link to the episode to Nintendo of America, and make sure somebody hears it.
Like I said. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And on to the next story from NintendoEverything.com. We talked about this not too long ago. Title Milestones 3 release date set for December. Courtesy of NN Games, or Einen Games, however you pronounce it. We have the release date for Title Milestones 3. The collection comes to Switch on December 10th in North America and Europe. The Japanese launch is taking place slightly earlier on November 28th. It was announced for the Switch back in May. The package includes Bubble Bobble, Kadash, Champion Wrestler, Dead Connection, Rainbow Islands, The Story of Bubble Bobble 2, Rastan Saga 2, Run Arc, Thunder Fox, and Warrior Blade Rastan Saga Episode 3. And this is going to be a nice collection, so I think I'm going to pick this one up definitely when it comes out.
Yeah, it's got a good variety. I remember us talking about this a few weeks ago. It's got a little bit of everything as far as types of games that you want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested in getting this for sure.
100%.
Let's see. Our next story comes to us from mynintendonews.com. It's ironic that we spent the first few minutes of the show bashing Nintendo, and all these articles are coming from Nintendo-named websites.
Yeah.
Nintendo announces Nintendo Switch Online playtest program. Nintendo has been doing a lot with their Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. Debatable. There have been games available on there. There's libraries of retro games, free trials, and more. So it isn't all that surprising that Nintendo has announced another thing for Nintendo Switch Online members. What it is, however, may surprise you. Nintendo has announced a Nintendo Switch Online playtest program. It isn't saying what it is that players will be playtesting, only that it is related to a new feature for the Nintendo Switch Online service, and that those who are recruited to participate will have to download exclusive software onto their Switch console. The recruitment period will be from the 10th through the 15th, and the play testing period will be from October 23rd through November 5th. So the recruitment period has already passed, and to my knowledge, neither of us were selected. So
Yeah.
that is unfortunate. I am curious as to what it is.
Yeah, I mean this is nothing new. I mean, most video game companies do this now, especially the bigger companies. They'll outsource their testing to just regular people, and all you got to do is just apply for them. I mean, Blizzard does it all the time. Microsoft does it. A lot of companies do it. Most companies do it nowadays. So it doesn't really surprise me. It's just, Nintendo always kind of lags behind on this type of stuff. So now that they're doing this, maybe they'll get smart about the internet one of these days.
Maybe in about 20 years.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, good 15, 20 years. They'll get with the program.
Yeah.
This next story is also a story about Nintendo from NintendoLife.com. Forget Switch 2. Nintendo has just revealed an official alarm clock. Who uses an alarm clock anymore? While fans are absolutely desperate to hear from Nintendo regarding the upcoming Switch successor, the firm has instead revealed an official alarm clock dubbed Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo, available now via Nintendo's official website for $99.99, with a retail release coming in early 2025. Alarmo will utilize motion detection technology to allow users to snooze their alarms with a wave of their arm or stop the alarm altogether by simply getting out of bed. Just what the world needs, Nintendo. An analog alarm clock.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. This uses motion detection technology.
Yeah.
Yet Nintendo can't consistently update their online library for their Switch.
I don't know, man. And plus, too, if you just wave your arm to do the snooze button, dude, I would literally never wake up at that point.
No, I'd go just.
I wave my arms in my sleep. The alarm would never go off.
If this were released 20 years ago,
yeah,
I'd be all for it.
Dude,
I would get this.
I don't think I've had an alarm clock since I got the iPhone in 2008. I think that was the last time I owned an alarm clock. It was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So, way to stay with the times there, Nintendo.
This is the Nintendo playing catch-up episode.
Yeah.
And I believe this is our last story for the week. From TimeExtension.com, meet the $16,500 Nintendo Game Boy bike, which comes with its own cartridge key and cheat codes. French company Dab Motors is producing a special version of its Dab 1A electric bike, which takes inspiration from Nintendo's Atomic Purple Game Boy Color. Costing a cool $14,900. I'm assuming that's, well, I don't know what currency that is. It looks kind of like pounds, but not.
Might be, what's the currency they use in the EU?
Let's see.
Euros?
Euros, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it costs 14,900 euro, which is over 16,500 American dollars to pre-order. The vehicle features transparent purple bodywork, custom handlebars with Nintendo-style controls, and a screen which mimics the look of the Game Boy Color's LCD display. The bike will also include an actual Game Boy Color cartridge, which has been modified to act as the starter key. That actually is kind of cool. I will say that. I wouldn't buy it, but it's kind of cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why?
I can't answer that. But we're not done. It will also benefit from secret cheat codes, one of which will unlock a speed boost. That's an accident waiting to happen. Okay. You'll also be able to unlock themes for the display and sound effects. These codes will be included in a print magazine that ships with the bike.
Okay.
This is starting to give me a headache.
It is powered by an 11 kilowatt electric motor and has a top speed of just over 80 miles an hour and has a range of 93 miles. Okay. It's still, I have to ask, why?
I find it hilarious that the cheat codes are included in a print magazine.
Yeah.
When print is like really going out. Like, Entertainment Weekly has stopped their physical printing. A lot of magazines have stopped their physical printing.
This is just weird, man.
Coming up for the next model, the cheat codes will be released on compact disc.
Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, who is this for?
People that have too much money.
I mean, this costs more than my car. Seriously.
Yeah, this is like 16,000. Yeah, that's about half my salary. Well, a little less than half. But yeah, I'd have to work for like 6 months to buy something like this.
I mean, it looks kind of cool, I guess, but what is it for? Who is this for? Why? Why do you need a game? Because isn't there like a little Game Boy Color screen on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like why? You can't use it while you're driving unless you want to die. I mean, if you want to die, this would be, a stylish way to do it.
But I'd say to those people, like, this ain't a video game. You don't get extra lives.
I don't know. I'm so thoroughly confused by this week's news segment. All of it.
This has been an interesting, like, wave of Nintendo. Like, it shows that their priorities are way out of whack.
The only one that made sense, out of all the news stories, the only one that made sense was the title Milestones 3 release coming in December. That's the only one that made any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Oh, boy. But anyway, I digress. Shall we move on to this month in video game history?
Sure.
In October of 1987, Nintendo releases Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the NES in North America.
It had to be one of the greatest, like, feeling accomplishments in video gaming at that time when you could beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah, I only did it once, and it took so long to learn his patterns that I could never do it again.
Have you seen Mike Tyson's training videos for that fight he's doing next month?
Mm-mm.
He's like 58 and he's still scary as hell.
Yeah, it's because
Like,
he's an animal. He's built different.
He's still got some power.
That dude's just literally just one big block of muscle. That's all he is.
I don't care if he's like 85. I still would not want to fight Mike Tyson.
And Chuck in the chat room says, going back to the alarm clocks, he said that him and his wife have had the same alarm clock since 2001.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
A piece of technology that lasts 23 years? Wow.
Wow.
October of 1987, LucasArts releases Maniac Mansion, the first game to use the SCUM engine. Love saying SCUM engine.
Yeah.
Innovating the point-and-click interface for the adventure game genre.
You know what? Why haven't they made a Maniac Mansion movie at this point?
That's a good question. Like the plot is there. The setting is there. I think it would actually do quite well.
That and I mean it the Day of the Tentacle, they could put that in there. I just think it's ripe for, it's a Lucasfilm property or a LucasArts, so why not?
Yeah, I mean they're not really doing anything right now.
Yeah, they're not doing much.
I mean, like we're kind of getting to that age now where more and more games are getting adapted. So why not take a chance on a Maniac Mansion? Like the budget wouldn't be that much.
Yeah, just make it all weird and campy and just weird. Just weird it up. Get as weird as you want to with it.
We need more movies like that anyway.
Yeah, we do. Maybe we should write a spec script and go shop.
Yeah, there we go.
October 1st of 1993, Nintendo and Silicon Graphics collaborate and begin work on Project Reality,
which ultimately became the Nintendo 64.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was all right. It's funny because, the Super Nintendo had only been out for a couple of years by that point, and they were already hard at work on the N64.
It's kind of crazy that they the NES had such a long life that, man, the Super Nintendo, as good as a console as it was, it didn't sell nearly as many regular Nintendos, so they were already gunning for the Nintendo 64 when the Super Nintendo came out. So it's crazy that they were just so ready to just jump onto the next thing at that time.
Which is funny because I feel like the Super Nintendo, it could have had another couple of year lifespan in it. I know that the PlayStation was out and we were having that transition to 3D. But the Super Nintendo, as good of a console as it was, you're right, it didn't have really that long of a lifespan.
Yeah, it was only 5 years.
It was a great 5 years, but it's still, you look at how long the Switch has been around.
Oh yeah. 7 years going on 8,
Which really, if you think about it, I guess the N64 didn't have that long of a lifespan either because the GameCube came out in 2001.
Yeah, it had a 1 year longer lifespan than the Super Nintendo did because Super Nintendo came out in 91 and the Nintendo 64 came out in what, 96? 95, 96?
Yeah, it came out in Japan June 23rd of 96 and North America was September of that year.
Yeah, so, 5 year span.
Yeah, because the Super Nintendo came out in America in August of 91. So pretty much a 5 year lifespan on the dot.
Yeah. I think consoles should have a 10-year span. Because they don't, when you think about it, you don't really start understanding the hardware till late in the lifespan of a system. So that's when you start getting all the great games, is towards the end of its life.
Yeah, just like we did with the NES. Mm-hmm. You look how much better the games looked in 90, 91 as opposed to 85, 86.
Yep.
Let's see. October 10th of 1994, ID Software releases Doom 2 for MS-DOS.
Doom!
And probably much better than the movie.
Yeah. Don't you disparage The Rock like that, sir.
He even says that it was terrible.
Yeah. Let's see.
Doom was fun.
Oh, yeah. I still love Doom. Actually, I was thinking about reviewing that this year, but I was like, no, I'm going to save that for later.
Yeah.
Let's see. October 9th of 2001, Konami releases Castlevania Chronicles for the PlayStation in North America.
And let's see. It included, it has a direct port of the original Castlevania for the X68000 home computer.
The what?
Which is nuts. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Let's see. And then this version is itself a remake of the original Castlevania, which was released for the NES.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a PC or a computer remake for Castlevania.
Okay, is Chuck correct in the chat room? He says there's a Doom sequel on Netflix.
That's the first I've heard of it. That's surprising that they would make a sequel to Doom.
I know. Doom Annihilation came out in 2019.
What?
How did this get by me?
Yeah, I've never heard of that till now.
We might have to do a commentary for this.
I might have this cup filled with something else if we do that.
I mean, it has a 3.8 out of 10.
That's better than a 3.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's one way of looking at it. I'm a glass half full kind of person.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Rampage? And finally, October 11th of 2004, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems released Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door for the GameCube in North America. I still need to play the remake, but the original is one of my favorite GameCube games of all time. Reviewed it not too long ago here on the podcast. If you're a Mario fan, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I still need to get that. I still want to play it. I just haven't had time.
Which, speaking of remakes, the Sonic and Shadow Generations remake is finally coming out this week.
Oh, cool.
I cannot wait to play it.
Wow.
It's getting really good reviews.
But that brings us to the end of this month in video game history. And before we go into the review, Derek, would you like to do our Patreon shout-outs?
As always, we want to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Mr. Wally Phelps, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, John West, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Eveland, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your contributions of keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. Now's the time to sign up for our Patreon because we've got we still got the Wishman watch along that you can view exclusively on our Patreon. We've got our Halloween episode coming up here in the next several days. It's for as little as $1 a month. You get early access to our bonus episodes. Like if you wait to get it on the public feed, you'll hear it at like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And Halloween and Thanksgiving don't go together.
No, they don't.
No. So for as little as $1 a month, and you get your own RSS feed with 0 ads.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find that kind of entertainment for $1.
And for those of you, and I do like to explain this for people that don't know how it works, when you get that RSS feed in Patreon, you just take that link, that RSS feed, and you put it into whatever podcatcher you're using, whether it's Downcast, Overcast. I think Spotify makes it a little difficult, but you can still do it. You just have to research a little bit, or if you use an Apple, whatever service you're using, you put that link in there, that RSS feed, and then you'll get the show. You just set it and forget it, and then every time we upload an episode, you will get that episode ad-free wherever you want to listen to it.
Absolutely. And if you want to join our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro And for new patrons, send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday is a 1995 side-scrolling platform video game developed by Phoenix Interactive and published by Sunsoft for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The goal of the game is to guide the main character, Porky Pig, through his nightmares. The game received mixed to positive reviews by critics. Its graphics and animation were received well, while its length and easy difficulty were not. And I needed something Halloween-y, spoopy, you might say, to play for Halloween. And I didn't even know this game existed till like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And just kind of came across it and I was like, this looks kind of good. And I started playing it last week. And over the course of about 2 or 3, one couple of hour playing session, maybe an hour to 2 hour playing sessions. Count this as one of the few actual Super Nintendo games I finished all the way through.
Nice.
So yeah, you can add it up there I can count on 2 hands how many Super Nintendo games I can actually finish.
Yeah, and what excited me about you choosing this game is I knew of its existence, but it has been buried like way in the back of my mind for years. And when I saw the title, I'm like, this sounds really familiar. And then when I saw the cover art, it just like unlocked seeing it in, like Walmart and Kmart, reading about it in the magazines. I never played it, but it was one of those, mini platformers that you could find, like they were essentially like a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
On the Super Nintendo, and especially with the NES and the Super Nintendo, especially, I feel like there were a lot of adaptations. Right, this is really kind of a more of original thing, but using an established name. Like the Looney Tunes, they've been around for years and years. So
yeah,
and I thought using Porky Pig is like the perfect character for this kind of thing. It's almost like, when they made Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Porky is so like scared and anxious, and just his personality is perfect for this kind of story.
Honestly, that's one of the things I liked about the game is they kind of got his personality so good with the character animations, because that's one thing, like the character animations, the actual graphics of this game are really good. Because Porky will be standing there and I miss these days when if you stopped moving your character, he would do like little animations. Well, like with Porky, he'll stand there. He'll either put his hands on his hips and start like, act like he's cussing you out or something. He'll either do that or he'll do when he gets all scared and he's like, "Ooh, I'm scared," like that. Like he does that. And one of the things that actually made me laugh out loud in the game is there are parts of this game where the only way to get up to certain spots is to stand on a certain thing, like a spring or something, or a certain spot, and the only way to get you to jump high enough is you stand on that spot, and then Daffy comes out from the side and he goes like that, and you jump really high. And the first time it happened, I died because it was just so unexpected.
That's perfect. And yeah, like I haven't played this game, but I did watch some gameplay of it earlier today. It looks fun. Like it doesn't look overly complicated.
Yeah.
But games like this, like they don't have to be.
Yeah.
As long as you can, it reminds me of whenever I reviewed The Mask a while back on the show. If you capture the essence of what the Looney Tunes are, like that's really all you can ask for. Like if it plays well and you feel like you're in that universe, that's when you make an adaptation really successful.
And that was the thing. I think this game was probably aimed more at someone your age at the time and not for me. Because, in 95, I was graduating high school, going into college at the time. And you're, what, like 8 years younger than me? Something like that.
Yeah, so this came out in October 95, so I would have been 9.
Yeah, so I was 17. So I think this was probably aimed more for your age group because it is relatively easy. I mean, it's not super easy, but the thing about this game is you have unlimited continues. And not only unlimited continues, but when you do continue, you go back to the same spot where you died, which is awesome.
Beautiful.
So it's like you never have to like restart a level or anything like that. It's like wherever you like, why even have the continues at that point? Just give me like unlimited lives.
So that's how you do it. That's beautiful.
And that's what made this game fun. Like I could just keep going no matter how badly I was doing. Because you do tend to die a lot. Because, this is a platformer and there's only really one way. You can jump on enemies to kill them, or sometimes you get a fruit bowl and then you can throw fruit at an enemy. But with the way the enemies in this game works is like they can come onto the screen like so fast that like you don't even have time to throw anything at them. So you just kind of end up like most of the time I just kind of fumbled my way through most of the levels just accidentally and then get through them.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes that happens, with games like this. And you mentioning, the way the characters look and the idle animations, I got kind of Earthworm Jim vibes from the graphics, with like the broad, like kind of strokes around the characters, like they really stand out. It looks almost kind of like a bright comic booky kind of look.
Yeah.
I instantly thought of Earthworm Jim when I saw the graphics for this game.
It's got great background art in this game too. And one of the things I actually put this in my notes. There were a few weird glitches with the assets loading, like fog, snow, etc. But when I did a little research on this game after I beat it, there's that stuff, the weather stuff in the game, like the fog or the rain or whatever, nighttime, daytime, all that is, it's not the same every time. It's kind of like, it's different every time. Like it sometimes I would go into a level and it would be like super foggy, and then I would die and go back in, or like, lose all my lives and then continue, come back in, and the screen would be clear, but it was just nighttime. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, what happened to the fog? I thought maybe it was some kind of weird glitch, but no, it was just it's like the weather is like randomly generated.
That's pretty rare for a game from that time frame.
Yeah, that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, for a Super Nintendo game especially.
That's why I was so confused by it. I was like, they didn't really do stuff like this around that time.
That's a neat little extra thing that they added there, especially like you would expect that from a game like maybe a Zelda or a Mario or like one of the bigger name properties. But to do that for a Looney Tunes game,
yeah,
that's really cool.
And I think you can tell the people that made this game really did like Looney Tunes, because it's the bosses that you fight in the game. And look, the boss fights are so ridiculously easy. You can do them half asleep. But all the boss fights are actually kind of fun, even though they're so easy, because you fight a giant Yosemite Sam. You fight the abominable snowman. You fight Tweety as Jekyll and Hyde. When he turns into the big crazy Tweety. Yeah. You fight him. The very last boss is, of course, Daffy Duck as Vampire Duck, or whatever he's called when he's as vampire, where he's controlling a robot. So and it's 3 different levels. So you got to go jump on Daffy's head to kind of knock him out, like make him, see, stars around his head. Then you got to go and jump on the robot, and that's how you got to do that 5 times to beat him to beat the game. And as easy as that sounds, it's really fun just to like see all the Looney Tunes characters that you come across in this game. It's just fun.
Well, and even though like the Looney Tunes are from an older generation, like even from back in, like the 40s, the 90s, like Looney Tunes were still pretty popular. Like they were still on every Saturday morning. Cause I remember the Saturday morning cartoon block on ABC, Looney Tunes was always the last thing before, like your live action show started. You had the Space Jam movie, which was a huge thing back then. And it's, if you do an adaptation, like to me, it should be made by people that appreciate the product and what they're doing, like not just doing it to collect a paycheck. So to hear that, that it's clear that developers were fans of the Looney Tunes. And yet, even if the boss fights are easy, if they're fun, the difficulty doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and I think you can adjust the difficulty on the game. I just kind of went into it, so whatever default setting it was on is what I played the game at. And it only took me a few hours to finish the game all the way through. And what did I want to say here? Just about how, at this time, and we've said this 100 times, back then, licensed games were maybe 1 out of every 20 were actually any good. So if it would have come to something like this, I probably wouldn't have given it the time of day back then, because by this time we learned our lesson. By 95, it was just like licensed games are no good. It's very rare to get a good licensed game. But if I'd have played this at the time, it would have been not something I would have bought, but this would have been a really fun weekend rental. Like I would have played this all weekend long, beat it and taken it back to Blockbuster and then been perfectly happy with my weekend rental that weekend.
Yeah, it's one of those games that you'd have to read a good review. And if you knew somebody that were like, oh, I played this Porky Pig game and it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then I would have been like, okay, I'll check it out. But yeah, it sounds like the perfect weekend rental game.
Yeah.
Like you pick it up on a Friday, play through it, and then you return it on a Monday.
I was playing this game and the whole time I was just like, man, I need some Pizza Hut and Mountain Dew while I'm playing this game. Some big bag of Doritos. Could have played it all night.
People knock Pizza Hut, but I actually, maybe it's because it's all I had because I grew up in the sticks, but I still to this day like Pizza Hut.
Me too. Oh, after my colonoscopy a few weeks ago, when I was able to eat, my mom took me to that morning after I got out of the colonoscopy. We went and ate Pizza Hut buffet.
Oh, you still have a Pizza Hut buffet?
Yeah, we got one.
That's awesome.
Close by, and Jacob, Jacob Craig, the co-host of Open Micers, was like, "You completely reset your gut, and then you went and just ruined it with Pizza Hut buffet." I'm like, "What else will you do? I'm completely cleaned out. I've reset everything. Why not just go for some greasy Pizza Hut pizza?"
Don't get me wrong. Like I like a good, quality pizza as much as everybody else.
Oh, me too.
Sometimes you just want Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
You just want something like, cheap and greasy.
Ain't nothing wrong with the Hut.
Nope. And nobody out pizzas the Hut.
Yeah.
That makes me think of Spaceballs. Pizza the Hut.
Pizza the Hut. You taste delicious.
He literally ate himself to death.
To death. We're gonna have to watch Spaceballs.
I love that movie so much.
Me too.
It's my favorite Mel Brooks movie.
And the only other thing I really need to say about the game is I wasn't a fan of the music in the game because it could be kind of grating at times. Like it got a little too of that Super Nintendo kind of sharpness to it sometimes, where it was like, ugh. But other than that, it's not game killing or anything like that, because this game is really, really enjoyable. I really did enjoy my time with this game, and it is something I could see myself playing multiple times because, like I said, it's not It's not hard. It's kind of more just kind of chill. You can just play it, and if you die, oh well, I'll restart at the same spot I died. So as long as you can get through the levels and get to the checkpoint in the middle, and then immediately die, and you'll start at that checkpoint where, if you use all your lives, use a continue, you'll go right back to that checkpoint wherever you're at.
It's a good time killer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time killer. I wish they would put this on the Super Nintendo online. I think people would really enjoy this game.
Well, what's interesting, too, is it says here that Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday received mixed to positive reviews. The graphics and animations received praise, as well as the weather system, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
About which a reviewer from EGM commented, "It's a great idea and should be used more often."
Mm-hmm.
Game Rankings gave it a 66.5%. Nintendo Life gave it 6 out of 10. Nintendo Power 3.25 out of 5. Super Play 72%, and Super Power 83. So that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
for a
bad.
licensed game. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, 66.5%. Aggregate score. That's I round up. That's 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 people like this game. So that's a good score. And I would give it, that's the score I would give it. This game is a solid 7. Like, it's not great, it's not Metroid, it's not Link to the Past, but it's a fun little, C game. It's not stupid hard to where you don't want to play it, because you get enough continues to where you're just like, I'll just keep going.
And it's like movies. Not everything can be The Empire Strikes Back or The Godfather or The Dark Knight or anything like that. Sometimes you enjoy a good B quality or a time killer game.
But trust me, there is a lot worse Super Nintendo games.
Oh, I know.
That we've played on this show.
Yes.
That are way worse than this game. And this game is not bad at all. There's really nothing bad I can say about this game, other than the jump button can be a little sticky. Like when you're trying to make precise jumps, he can be a little, like Porky Pig can be a little sticky sometimes, and you have to, you tend to fall a lot in this game, and spots you don't really want to be falling. Because let me just go back to one spot. Okay, there's one spot in this game when you're in Atlantis, and you step on these underwater elephants, which create bubbles, and there's 2 of them. And you got to step on one and then jump on the other. So they create 2 bubbles that go up this long tube that you have to jump from bubble to bubble to avoid platforms as you're trying to make your way up. So you're just jumping from bubble to bubble. He can get a little sticky sometimes, or he can over jump the bubble, and then you have to fall all the way back down and start the whole process over again. So that one section probably took me the longest in this whole game to get through, was just trying to get through that one little section with the bubbles. And if you play this game, you'll know exactly where I'm talking about.
Yeah, you've sold me on it. Like, I'll definitely check it out before Halloween.
Yeah, and
I've been curious about it myself, so you sold me on it.
It's a perfect Halloween game to play. So if you're in the mood for a good spoopy Halloween game, Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday, I give it 2 thumbs up for a Halloween playthrough.
Love it.
But that's going to bring us to the end of that. And before I do a listener review, Derek, what are you going to be reviewing next week?
So a little programming note. Next week we'll be doing the show on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Instead of Monday. I'm going to have to work again. So we'll be doing Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. So same time, but different day. We're going to continue the spoopy trend, and I've actually been having a lot of fun with this. I'm going to be reviewing Scooby-Doo Mystery for the Super Nintendo.
Awesome.
Who doesn't like Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. That's another perfect Halloween thing. Scooby-Doo.
Yep. Yeah, and I was struggling to find something, because I'm like, I don't want to review like a deep horror kind of game.
Yeah.
And then I found this, and I'm like, That's it.
You know what? I'm always running across the Scooby-Doo games for the PlayStation 2, like at the thrift stores and the Goodwills, but they're always scratched to hell and back. I can never find a good copy of the Scooby-Doo games.
See, I couldn't in good conscience sell a game that I knew was that scratched up.
Yeah, like they're crazy scratch. I've run across the same couple of Scooby-Doo PS2 games that I really want, and they're always scratched.
I can't stand that.
Oh well, I'll get one of these days.
Yeah, so we'll have that to look forward to next week.
Awesome. And I'm going to do a listener review. And this is, if you'd like to do a listener review, please go join our Discord. You can go to nerdcaveretro.com. There is a never-ending Discord link on there, and you can join our little community. And I have 2 to get through, but I'm going to save one for next week. This one is from Mr. Tyler Watson, who goes by Dymo22 on the Discord. And he says, since Derek reviewed Einhander a few weeks ago, I thought I would put in one for another weird PS1 game made by Square that starts with an E. Submitted for the approval of the NCR Society, I call this the tale of the, I hope I'm saying this right, Urguys? Is that right?
That's probably what I would have said too.
Urguys! God bless the ring. Urguys is such an odd entry in Square's catalog. It's a 3D arena fighter a la Power Stone that came out a couple of years later. The roster includes 10 original characters, and since it came out not long after Final Fantasy VII, it also includes Cloud, with Zack as an alternate skin, Tifa, Yuffie, Vincent, and Sephiroth. Now, all that alone would make this an odd one to talk about, but Square took it one step further by also adding in an entire dungeon crawler to the game. You choose between two archaeologists who are also in the fighting game portion as playable characters, and delve as deep as you can in a dungeon full of monsters in search of the mystical sword Urguys. You say the name, you wins the prize. While the game is fun, the controls are very finicky in the fighting section. You move with the analog stick, and I can't tell you how many times an attack overshot my opponent. Other than that, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Okay, so this is a fighting game with a dungeon crawler. Okay.
Interesting combination.
Yeah. That's weird.
Also, shout out to Tyler for the "Are You Afraid of the Dark" reference.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the submitted for the approval of the NCR Society.
But yeah, this looks very, very like late 90s, 2000s artwork.
Yeah, that player's guide just screams like 2001.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just, you look at that and you're like, ugh, how did we get through that time?
And that was peak graphics back then.
That we were like, it doesn't get any better than this.
It looks like the real thing.
But yeah, go check out Urguys, everybody. It's EHRGEIZ is how you spell it if you want to go look that up.
I'm curious as to what the pronunciation is.
Yeah, me too. Oh, and
got it
Mushmouth
right.
says, dude, Mortal Kombat Dungeon Crawler win. That's what I'm screaming. Can we get a Mortal Kombat Dungeon Crawler now, please?
That'd be a day one purchase for me.
Dude, I would
if that
buy
were to
that
happen.
right now. Like that, there would be no question. They would have my money instantly.
100%.
But that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. And thank you to Tyler Watson for that listener review on the Discord. Derek, what is going on with Real Wisdom? Dude, and I must say, the interview you had the other day with the actress, what's her name?
Jessica Michaela?
Yeah, Jessica Michaela was awesome. And
appreciate that.
And
Yeah,
Joey
so-
pointed it out on our little our text thread that she had a really good John Stamos story.
Yeah, so that's actually the most recent episode that I put out is with Jessica Michaela, who is a teen actress. And if you feel like you've done nothing compared to her, what happened when I was reading her bio, she got to do a voice role in Into the Spider-Verse. And
Yeah,
she's a
I know.
teenager. I'm like, I'm pushing 40 and I'm not close to that. So,
I've done nothing.
but the cool thing is she was actually Full House, the show. That's what led into her John Stamos story. That's what inspired her to be an actress. So she was raised on the classics. It was a really good interview. I gotten a lot of good feedback from it. So you can go check that out at linktree.com/realwisdompod. And it's REEL Wisdom Pod, by the way. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to be recording a roundtable about the Scream movies, and that will be released on Halloween. So you'll have that to look forward to.
Oh, yeah. Chuck actually sent me a link to which I didn't get to watch yet. Let me look this up real quick. Before we go, I'm sorry, everybody. It's been a busy week.
It has.
I didn't get a chance to watch it this weekend, but it's a movie called Dance of the Dwarfs. And it's on YouTube, and it's a 1983 remaster. And he says, here's an old early 80s cable horror you can't find anywhere but buried on YouTube. So kind of going off the Wishman thing we've been doing. He says, I thought the script felt like a weird take on the African queen, but in a helicopter. And it seems that's what TV Guide said too. So I'm going to give this a watch sometime this week because you know me. I love me some weird 1980s television horror stuff.
Sounds like they missed out on doing a crossover with Wishman.
Yeah, like it's from the same year, so I'm for it.
That's awesome.
But go check out the Open Micers podcast. It's openmicers.com. And our last episode, we had comedian Rachel Lopez on, and she's a local comedian. She won the roast battle, the Roast in the Coast battle a couple of weeks ago, and she's really funny. That was a really funny episode. Go check that out. The week before, we had comedian Justin Baker on, where we were talking about horror movies and all that kind of stuff. It's been a horror-themed month on the Open Micers podcast. So go over there, openmicers.com, and check out the show. And Derek, is that everything?
I think so. This was a jam-packed episode.
I know. We're like just getting everything done this week.
Yeah.
But if you want to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is, of course, our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials, all the ways to give us money, the Discord, the never-ending Discord button there if you want to be a part of the community. And, of course, the merch shop there, too. We got a merch shop button. Or you can just go to ncrmerch.com. And over there, we got all kind of T-shirt designs, hats, magnets, bugs, bags and mugs. Well, if you want a bug, I'll send you a bug. I'll catch a bug outside and send it to you if you want.
We got plenty around here.
Yeah, we live in the South. We got plenty of bugs. But also, if you can't do that, you don't have any money, like, guys, times are tough. I don't have $1 to send you guys. Leave us a review and our 5-star rating on all podcasting platforms. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Wow.
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
And that's an episode.
Sweet.
Let's see. And he says, Chuck in the chat says, you should hunt down John Carpenter's Tales for a Halloween Night. I just saw these existed since you love Carpenter. Yeah, that's one of the only John Carpenter things I haven't seen yet. So I've been on the lookout for those.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's see. Let me look that up real quick. Tales for a Halloween Night. Is that streaming anywhere? Oh, they have a box set. Where is this at? You can get it for Tales for Halloween Night 1 through 5 box set for $100. Ooh. Yeah, because shipping is $17.30 on it, so it'd be $107. That's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do love me some John Carpenter, so I'm going to keep an eye out for this stuff. I've been wanting to watch those. Oh, those are the graphic novels. But what was the thing we were talking about? Yeah, these are the graphic novels. There was something else that John Carpenter did that we talked about with oh crap, who did we talk to about that? John Carpenter did.
We talk about when we did the John Carpenter roundtable.
Yeah, there was like, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was
like
with Jeremy and Chad.
Yeah, wasn't there some kind of John Carpenter, like, what was it? Like an anthology that he did. It's like a series.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
I know there was an anthology. Suburban Screams. That's it. Yeah,
that's
it's on,
right.
It's on Peacock. That's why.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Suburban Screams. It's actually on Peacock now. Came out last year. I still haven't seen that yet. But I thought there was something else. But that's probably it. Was the Suburban Screams TV series?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those graphic novels look cool, Chuck. I'd love to have those, but I don't have $120 to drop on those right now.
One day.
One day, yeah. Go give us some money on Patreon, and I can afford the graphic novel. I'll buy some from me and Derek.
Oh.
Yeah. But thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Don't forget, we're not here Monday. We'll be here Tuesday. So we love you guys. We'll see you all